What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Vintage Video Challenge, where we journey through the year that was 1982. Today, we're talking about the 1982 release, Jaws of Satan. So, tell me if you've heard this one before. An animal, a small town, let's start with that. A small town, an animal that is causing mayhem, killing a lot of people, and this small group of people are tasked to go out and kill this creature. But with a twist, that creature is Satan himself. Yes, Jaws of Satan is such a on the nose name for this movie because this is one of those Jaws clones, in my opinion. It pretty much runs the same. You have an evil, a corrupt politician who is so focused on one thing that he doesn't care about all the deaths that are happening in his town. Um, you have like the group of people who are going out there and trying to destroy the creature. You have doubt. You have just different situations. But like I said earlier, the twist is that this creature that is causing all this mayhem in this town is Satan himself. So there you go, Jaws of Satan. And the creature, of course, if you didn't know, is a snake. This movie actually had a working title of King Cobra because the main snake is a cobra. But I guess this kind of fell into a better situation. The name. I think King Cobra would have been a cool name too. I do have my, let's say, negatives for this film. And for one, from what I've heard and read, is that the main snake in this movie was defanged, which not a big fan of that. Don't know the whole situation, so I'm going to leave it at that. But a lot of real snakes used in this movie, a lot of dangerous real snakes. So of course they had the King Cobra that was used as the main, as our Satan character. But as I stated, defanged, can't do much, so can't really hurt you. They were using real rattlesnakes in this movie. There was just some crazy situations going on where I was following along pretty closely for the majority of this movie, and then other factors were happening where I'm just looking at the screen going, did it like skip to a different movie? I'm very confused, but then it writes itself in a way, and then the end is kind of like, oh, okay, so this is the kind of movie we're doing. It's one of those movies where I don't know how to feel fully about it because of course it is a Jaws clone, but I do love Jaws clones. I enjoy Grizzly. I enjoyed movies that came out that were taking the formula that Jaws had put on the table and using it in different ways, using different animals. And I like the twist that the snake, it's not just, oh my God, an evil snake, we have to stop it before it destroys the town. No, it's a snake that is actually Satan. He is corrupting the other snakes in this town. But then you have this sidebar where there's a mayor character who is trying to open up a dog track, and he doesn't give a shit about all the people that are dying. And so that he's not, he doesn't want to tell the townspeople. He doesn't want to use his resources to stop this thing. And then by the end, he is affected greatly. His family is affected in a way, but then nothing really happens with it. Cool fact, this was Christina Applegate's first film role. I watched this whole movie, did not know she was in it until the credits, and I went, wow, I didn't even recognize her, so that's cool. Other than that, directed by Bob Claver. Not much I know about him. As I state, this is kind of just my general reactions to a movie. I'm not going to really go into deep behind the scenes stuff with this, just kind of how I feel about it, because there's an amazing podcast that I follow along. That's why I do this show. They're called the Vintage Video Pod, and they go deep into these movies, going through the entire plots, giving you behind the scenes stuff, and much, much more. It's a fantastic podcast. You really should listen to it. And then, make sure you come back here and watch this, because it's kind of why I'm doing it. But yeah, Jaws of Satan, I liked it, but I didn't love it. I didn't like certain aspects of it. I thought the performances were really good. Compared to some of the early movies we were doing, Zootsuit, I think is just, it's beyond what a lot of these movies are going to be. I think it stands on its own as my number one. This is definitely not going to be taking over Zootsuit for me, but looking at like Aftermath and Island of Blood, I think that's the name of it. Um, this is definitely a better made movie. I like the way that they were able to kind of get the snakes to do certain things. It was kind of hokey in certain places, and maybe the effects weren't as good as you'd want them to be. But there were some effects for like snake bites, really cool looking. But for me, I think the biggest thing was like side characters were just useless and just made the story kind of dumb. I think it would have just been better to focus on stopping the snake instead of having this whole like, we can't stop the snake, we got to make sure the dog track is open, and it's just not a fan. But I did enjoy the movie for what it's worth. And so my final score for Jaws of Satan is going to be a 2.5 out of 5, and is going to be my new number 2. So is anything going to take over Zootsuit for the rest of this first part of this journey? I don't know. But until next week, I am Brett Parker, and this has been another episode of Vintage Video Challenge. See you again next time. Bye.